Hello, this is John, N5ID. I want to help new hams who are just getting started with CW. Maybe you have learned the CW now, you can receive and you can transmit, but you're really scared to get on the air. You don't know the proper way to QSO and you just don't want to key up and embarrass yourself. Well, listen, every ham has been there. I remember my first QSO 48 years ago. I was scared to death, and the guy was so gracious and helped me out and was bearing with my mistakes. Listen, 99.9% of hams are great guys and they're willing to help you out. So don't be afraid to get in there and QSO. What I want to do today is give you an example of how to call CQ and how to have a basic CW QSO. The first thing that you want to do is listen around. Look around for a clear frequency. Make sure you're leaving some space between you and the closest signal on the band. I try to leave at least 2K. Now, you don't have to leave 2kc between you and the closest signal. With modern transceivers, you can easily cut the bandwidth down to 250 hertz and even lower. But I like to make sure that I'm not QRMing someone. So after I listen around, don't see any close signals, the next thing I do is ask if the frequency is in use. QRL, is this frequency busy? And I will listen and usually send QRL again. I listen for at least 2 or 3 minutes. I want to make sure that I'm not keying up on top of someone. So now that we've determined that the frequency is not in use, it's time to call CQ. Now, one of the things I've done on my Yaesu FT710, I've recorded my CQ into memory channels so that I don't have to use the paddle each time I call CQ. So let's throw a CQ out there. Okay, we have sent our CQ out. I apologize for bumping the camera. We sent our CQ out, and I'm going to pretend like I am K4CP, Kilo 4 Charlie Papa, responding to N5ID. Okay, K4CP has now responded to N5ID, so I'm going to pretend both parts in this QSO. I'm going to respond now to K4CP, who answered my CQ. Now, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not used to sending this slow, and just bear with the mistakes. I'm going to say Roger. I'm going to thank him for answering the call. send his RST. Now I'm going to send QTH, my QTH. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to send Bly instead of all my town, Blyville. Now I'm going to send my name. Now I'm asking him, how did you copy? Now I've turned it back over to K4CP. K4CP is going to respond. Fine business. I sent that the RST is 589. Now I'm sending the QTH is you notice I messed up on the K there. Always send your QTH twice to make sure they get it. Now I'm sending the name, Mike. Always send your name twice to make sure they get it. Now Mike might say WX, which stands for weather. Hot and muggy. Temperature. (92 degrees Fahrenheit). How copy? Now K4CP just turned it back to N5ID. Now I as N5ID am going to respond to K4CP. Roger. Roger. Fine business. Fine business, Mike. WX weather. I made a mistake. I meant to send an 8, so I'm letting him know I made a mistake. HR, weather here is, made another mistake. So far I've sent weather here is also, hot and muggy. Temperature's 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I might tell him about my rig. Rig is a Yaesu FT710. Ant for antenna. Antenna is a hex beam. Now I'm going to tell him thanks for the QSO. Now FER is a way of abbreviating for God bless, and 73's TU for thank you. Okay, I turned it back to him, K4CP, this is N5ID, I said 73s, and then I sent SK, which means silent key. I'm done with this QSO, and Mike is going to respond back to me. N5ID. This is K4CP, Roger, fine business. What's that mean? I made a mistake. I sent an S instead of an H. Thanks, or fine business, John. Thanks. Thanks for QSO. ES and TU, thank you. Well, I messed up and sent an H instead of a 5. Again, I'm not used to these slower speeds. N5ID, this is and normally what I do when I'm finishing up, I send another at the end, TU, thank you. And then what's customary in CW, you're done, so you send 2 dits spaced out, and then I as N5ID would respond back to his 2 dits, and the QSO is over. Now again, if you've been a ham for a while, this is very basic to you. This is meant to help out a new ham who's just getting into CW, give you an example of a short QSO. I hope this is beneficial to you. If you have any questions about CW, don't hesitate to contact me on my QRZ email address. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.